President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen. United, we will win this trade war and build the strongest economy in the G7, an economy that works for everyone.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney declared victory in Monday night's federal elections and promised to take a tough line with Washington.
Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?
However, Carney's party failed to form a majority government. Preliminary results showed his Liberals were elected or leading in at least 164 electoral districts. That's just short of the 172 they needed to form a majority. That all means Carney will have to deal with US President Donald Trump's tariff threats without the mandate he hoped for. Canada's ties with its southern neighbor were a focus of Carney's campaign, as well as his victory speech.
When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between two sovereign nations.
In another press briefing, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre conceded defeat to Carney's Liberals.
Yes, we will do our job to hold the government to account.
Poilievre's right-of-centre Conservatives at one time were riding high in the polls on voter anxiety about the cost of living, housing and crime. In January, the Liberals trailed them by 20 percentage points. Then came the resignation of unpopular former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, as well as the defining issue, threats of tariffs and annexation from Trump. That set off a wave of patriotic support for Carney and his party. Monday completes the Liberal turnaround. Last week, Trump re-emerged as a campaign factor, declaring he might raise a 25% tariff on Canadian-made cars. And in a social media post Monday, Trump again made his call for Canada to become the 51st state, saying he might use what he called economic force.
This is very, very different times. And I think Carney is reacting to that by saying we are holding the line, but we will negotiate. And you can see it's a very business-like manner. And hopefully that will play well. But at the same time, he's not looking to make too many concessions about Canadian sovereignty that would maybe be what is asked for in terms of kind of creating that relationship. I think he's actively saying, listen, we will negotiate and we are going to have these meetings and we are going to do our best, but there is a line we won't cross. And so in the same time, I'm also going to be cultivating all these other relationships because there are these other mechanisms we can use to try and strengthen the Canadian economy at the same time. Even how he behaved in his very few days as prime minister before the election was called, right? And just, taking trips to try and talk to people overseas to try and build up new relationships for Canada. I think that gives you a hint of the kind of approaches that he's going to be taking as prime minister again.